Exposed. How my father's choice led to $1,800 monthly payments and a life-changing revelation. Jamie Carter felt like the ground beneath her was crumbling. Just weeks after burying her father, she stood in the cramped living room of their small Midwestern home, suffocated by memories and bills alike. Her father had always been the diligent factory man, honest, hardworking, revered by everyone. Now, with two younger siblings to care for and the weight of the world pressing down on her, Jamie felt desperate. The familiar smell of his old flannel shirt hung in the air, twisting her heart. As she rummaged through his belongings, she felt an overwhelming surge of emotions. Each piece reminded her of his laughter, his strength, his unwavering love. But then her fingers grazed something sharp, a file marked Veterans Affairs. Confusion clouded her mind. As she unfolded the papers, an $1,800 monthly payment? What did this mean? Anger consumed her as she discovered her father's hidden past as a veteran, not just a factory man, but someone who had once served his country. It shook her to her core. How could her dad have kept something so monumental from them? "Why didn't you tell me?" she whispered to the quiet room, her heart racing. The revelation sent her spiraling into a maze of legal entanglements and frantic calls. The bills piled up faster than her understanding of this confusing system. How could the government do this to her family after her father's sacrifice? In search of comfort, Jamie found herself at the local community center, a beacon of hope amidst her turmoil. Families gathered, sharing their stories, their struggles. Tales echoed around her of resilience, faces lighting up with compassion that made her ache inside. Perhaps she wasn't alone in this fight. With every shared story, every nod of understanding, she felt the flickers of strength ignite in her chest. But as the days turned into weeks, frustration bubbled within her. The Veterans Affairs Office was silent. Delays and denials trickled in like a cruel joke. Each lack of response felt like a betrayal, as if the system forgot the sacrifices of many, just like her father's. How could this be? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. In a flash of determination, Jamie decided to take action. She organized a community rally to confront local officials about the injustices plaguing her family and others. As she crafted her speech, she realized this was bigger than her. This was about every blue-collar worker whose life stood in the shadows, unrecognized. The day of the rally arrived, and emotions swelled in the air like a storm ready to break. Jamie stepped up to the podium, heart pounding, the community rallying behind her. She gazed into the crowd, feeling an electrifying surge of hope. This journey was about holding on to her father's legacy, but also about the families that lined up, waiting for justice too. But as she opened her mouth, doubt momentarily flickered. What if her father's hidden life changed everything she thought she knew? Her grip tightened on the podium, and the crowd waited in hushed anticipation, ready for the truth to be unveiled. "Thank you for being here," Jamie started, her voice quivering slightly. A wave of silence wrapped around her like a warm blanket, yet the heaviness weighed down on her heart. She cleared her throat, glancing at the familiar faces in the crowd, her neighbors, her friends, the families she had seen at the community center. All of them carried their battles, just like she did. Today, I stand not just for my father, but for all of us, for those whose hard work goes unnoticed, for the sacrifices made by families across this country, deserving of respect and recognition. Hands clenched and whispers of encouragement stirred through the audience, giving her strength. Jamie took a deep breath and pushed past the swell of anxiety in her chest. This was her moment. The truth needed to be shared. I discovered something in my father's belongings after he passed. She paused, collecting herself. He was a veteran, a soldier who served with pride. Yet the government has left us in the dark to figure this out on our own. Her voice rose, fueled by anger and pain. He deserved better. We all do. The crowd erupted in murmurs. Some faces lit up with realization, others furrowed in confusion. Jamie could see her brother, Alex, standing at the front with their youngest sister, Lily, squeezing his hand tightly. Her heart surged with love and urgency. She needed to fight for them, for their future. Every month, I'm faced with nearly $2,000 in bills, an encumbrance that feels not just financial, but personal. But I refuse to let this injustice swallow us whole, she declared, pointing toward the gathering as if rallying an army. This isn't just about money. It's about dignity. It's about honoring the sacrifices of men and women like my father. The crowd nodded, voices merging into an electric energy. Jamie felt her resolve gathering momentum. They were no longer just individuals. They were together, a force united against the mountain of bureaucracy. Let's demand answers. Let's make our voices heard. Cheers erupted, and people began chanting, "Justice for veterans! Justice for families!" It reverberated through the air, solidifying the emotional wall that had surrounded her, shattering uncertainty. For the first time in weeks, Jamie felt hope simmering. As enthusiasm soared, Jamie noticed a figure approaching the front. It was Mr. Thompson, the local congressman known around town, his expression earnest. The crowd parted slightly, and he stepped up to the podium. "Jamie," he said, his deep voice cutting through the passionate uproar, "I hear you. I want to help. There are processes in place, but I can assure you, I'll take your story to the floor. This needs to be addressed." For a moment, a glimmer of relief flooded Jamie's heart. Perhaps there was a way to untangle the web surrounding her father's legacy after all. But just as quickly as the hope emerged, a sinking feeling twisted in her gut. What if they were all empty promises? "Thank you, Mr. Thompson," she said, holding his gaze steady. "But I need more than words. We need real action, for our families, for every veteran struggling to get what they deserve." With that lingering plea hanging in the air, Jamie felt the atmosphere shift. Excitement shifted to gravity with the weight of the situation looming over them. Could one local politician truly make a difference? As she stepped down from the podium, a mix of determination and fear coursed through her. They had started something, a flicker of hope in an ocean of uncertainty. But Jamie wondered, if they pursued this path, what hidden truths might emerge, and at what cost? With the crowd dispersing, she glanced back at Mr. Thompson, the anticipation of the unknown twisting inside her. What else had her father kept hidden, and how deep did the revelations go? As Jamie stepped away from the podium, the weight of the moment pressed down on her shoulders. She could feel the adrenaline still coursing through her, mingling with an undercurrent of doubt. The crowd began to break apart, but the energy hadn't dissipated. It transformed into small clusters of conversations filled with urgency. She could hear snippets, people discussing their own stories, their struggles echoing her own. It felt like a movement was brewing, but uncertainty gnawed at her heart. Walking towards Alex and Lily, Jamie felt a mix of relief and lingering panic. The promise of action was hopeful, but what if Mr. Thompson couldn't deliver? What if this moment, this invocation of unity, led to nothing more than fleeting satisfaction? The thought made her stomach churn. "Jamie," Alex called, concern etched across his face as their eyes met. "What's next? What do we do now?" "I don't know," she admitted, a shaky laugh escaping her lips. "I thought speaking would make everything clearer." "But it didn't," Lily chimed in, her small voice inherently innocent and wise. "It just made it more complicated." Jamie knelt down, meeting her sister's gaze. "Yeah, it did. But complicated isn't bad, right? We might have a chance to make a real change." "We need to organize," Alex said, his brows knitting together. Meet with Mr. Thompson, rally support, gather more stories. We can't let this fizzle out. The three of them huddled close, continuing to. With the night unfolding, Jamie felt the weight of the past shifting, no longer just a burden, but a source of strength. And as they stepped forward together, fueled by their shared purpose, one question lingered in the back of Jamie's mind. What other truths awaited to be uncovered that could bond them even closer, binding their fight to a community bursting with untold stories? The morning sun spilled through the kitchen window, casting a warm light over the breakfast table. Jamie, Lily, and Alex sat together, their usual chatter replaced by a palpable sense of urgency. The envelope lay between them like a promise waiting to be fulfilled. "Are we ready for today?" Jamie asked, her voice steadying. Lily nodded, but her expression was a mix of determination and apprehension. What if people don't want to share their stories? They will, Jamie urged. If we show them that our dad fought. With the night unfolding, Jamie felt the weight of the past shifting, no longer just a burden, but a source of strength. And as they stepped forward together, fueled by their shared purpose, one question lingered in the back of Jamie's mind. What other truths awaited to be uncovered that could bond them even closer, binding their fight to a community bursting with untold stories? The morning sun spilled through the kitchen window, casting a warm light over the breakfast table. Jamie, Lily, and Alex sat together, their usual chatter replaced by a palpable sense of urgency. The envelope lay between them like a promise waiting to be fulfilled. "Are we ready for today?" Jamie asked, her voice steadying. Lily nodded, but her expression was a mix of determination and apprehension. What if people don't want to share their stories? They will, Jamie urged. If we show them that our dad fought for families like ours, they'll want to be heard. It's bigger than just us. As they finished their breakfast, Jamie's thoughts raced. They were embarking on a mission to gather the truths that had been tucked away, hidden behind the struggles of everyday life. The realization struck her anew. This wasn't just about her father's past. It was about the impact they could make on their community. Once outside, the air was crisp with early fall, the leaves painting the streets in fiery oranges and reds. They could feel the energy in the atmosphere, a blend of anticipation and resolve. Jamie had put together flyers to let people know they were looking to share stories. "Let's start at the community center," Alex suggested, his excitement bubbling beneath the surface. "We can talk to families there. It's a good place to find people." They made their way to the center, where the scent of coffee blended with the cheerful hustle of morning activities. As they entered, Jamie took a moment to absorb the lively scene. Families mingled, some laughing, others deep in conversation. It felt reassuring. It felt alive. "Excuse me, can we get everyone's attention?" Jamie called out, her voice carrying through the room. The chatter quieted as heads turned toward them. Jamie took a deep breath. She shared her father's story, the sacrifices he made, the battles fought for financial stability, and how it all connected to their community. She watched as expressions shifted from curiosity to empathy, drawing people in. "We believe there are more stories like ours," she added, her heart pounding with every word. "We want to hear from you. What challenges have you faced? How can we make our voices stronger?" A woman in the back raised her hand tentatively. "My husband served too, but he's been struggling since he came home." "This is the moment we need," Alex whispered to Jamie. With each story shared, the room filled with emotion. They spoke about loneliness, about unspoken struggles, about resilience. Jamie felt the weight lift as every voice merged into a chorus of shared experiences. As the hour passed, they collected more stories than Jamie had anticipated. She felt a newfound connection with those around her, the power of community igniting something deep within her. "We need to keep this going," Lily suggested. "Maybe we can host regular meetups, create a support group." "Yes," Jamie exclaimed, her heart swelling with hope. "This is just the beginning. We'll get these stories together and show others they're not alone." The conversation buzzed with excitement as plans took shape. Jamie glanced around the room, taking in the faces that now resonated with purpose. Each smile, each tear told a story worth sharing. But just as they started to formulate a plan, a voice echoed through the crowd. "What you're all doing is important, but there's something bigger at play." The voice belonged to a man Jamie had never seen before. His presence commanded attention, and questions flared in her mind. What could be bigger than this moment? She felt the air shift, realizing that another layer of truth was about to unfold. What had this stranger witnessed? What crucial knowledge might he hold that would deepen their fight for family and support? The tension was thick, and Jamie stood ready. What revelation lay just beyond this moment, one that could change everything they had begun to build? The man's eyes lingered on Jamie, as if searching for something within her. The room was suddenly silent, the buzz of anticipation replaced by an electric feeling of suspense. "I've seen a lot," he began, his voice steady yet filled with an urgency that captured everyone's attention. "And the stories you're gathering, they're important, yes, but they're just part of a bigger picture that's been hidden for far too long." "What do you mean?" Jamie held her breath, her heart racing as she sensed this was the moment that could redefine everything. He cleared his throat, his gaze unwavering as he spoke. "Your father wasn't just a soldier. He was a whistleblower. There were things he uncovered that could change how we see our veterans and the systems that are supposed to support them." The words hung in the air, heavy and potent. Jamie glanced at Lily and Alex, who shared her wide-eyed disbelief. Whistleblower? Her father? What had he done? The man stepped forward, eyes intense. "I know it's hard to digest, but if you're willing to dig deeper, if you're willing to uncover the truth, you could help many more families than you realize." The room seemed to shift again, the atmosphere tightening with possibilities. Jamie's mind reeled. Did her father's actions put their family at risk? Did others know about it too? She felt a wave of determination crashing over her. "How do you know this?" Jamie asked, her voice steady despite the storm of emotions inside her. "I was there," he replied, a weight in his tone. "I saw it happen, and I've been trying to get others to listen for years. But it takes a strong voice to break through the silence." For a moment, all Jamie could hear was the pounding of her heart. This was more than stories. It was a call to action. They weren't just collecting voices. They were on the brink of exposing something ideally hidden, unjust, and powerful. The room erupted with murmurs, a mix of confusion and curiosity. Alex leaned in closer to Jamie, the excitement almost palpable. If your dad spoke out, if he was brave enough to challenge the system, what else did he find? "Exactly," the man said, knowing he had ignited a fire. "There could be documents, evidence. Your father might have left clues that could lead you to reveal the truth. But you'll have to be careful. Not everyone wants this story to be told." Lily stepped forward, her face a mask of determination. "We're ready to dig, whatever it takes. These stories matter, and if there's more, we want to know." Jamie felt a rush of pride at her friend's bravery. They were a team, and together they could pioneer something greater. But an undercurrent of fear seeped in. Who would they be confronting, and what danger might lie ahead? "Meet me after hours at the old library," the man instructed. "There's something I need to show you. We need to keep this quiet, for now." Jamie nodded, adrenaline coursing through her. This was no longer just about gathering stories. It was about unveiling a hidden truth that could shake the very foundations of their community. As the man made his way through the room, leaving a stunned crowd behind him, Jamie felt a thrill rush through her. They were on the verge of something monumental. But as she turned to Lily and Alex, her excitement was laced with uncertainty. What would they uncover together? She could only hope they were ready for whatever was waiting for them in the shadows. The old library stood as a relic of the past, but Jamie felt it would soon become a portal to their future. They were stepping into an unknown territory, and she knew this would test their resolve like never before. What secrets would unfold in the quiet darkness, and how far would they go to uncover the truth and protect each other along the way? Jamie stood at the entrance of the old library, its time-worn facade looming like a keeper of secrets. The air felt thick with history, each brick and creak underfoot whispering of stories yet to be uncovered. She could hardly believe they were here, about to dive into the mystery surrounding her father. With her heart racing, she turned to Lily and Alex. Are we really ready for this? Her voice trembled slightly, the weight of the moment sinking in. We have to be, Lily replied, her determination glowing in her eyes. We owe it to your dad. All those veterans, they deserve to be heard. Alex nodded in agreement. And besides, we're not alone. We've got each other. They exchanged glances, a silent contract forming in the pit of their stomachs. Together, they stepped through the threshold, the creaky door groaning as it invited them into the shadows. Inside, the soft glow of the moonlight illuminated dusty shelves, packed with books and forgotten tales. It smelled of aged paper and something undeniably nostalgic, as if time had paused here. Jamie felt an odd mix of excitement and dread. What if the truth was more than she was prepared to handle? Where do we even start? Jamie's voice barely broke the silence, echoing off the walls. Let's find the archives, Lily said, scanning the room. If your dad left anything, it might be in there. They navigated through the narrow aisles, the darkness closing in around them, just as uncertainty loomed in Jamie's heart. Each step felt heavier, burdened by thoughts of the possible dangers ahead. All she could think about was what the man had said about keeping quiet. Who would want to silence the truth? With renewed resolve, they reached the back of the library, where an unassuming door led into a small meeting room. Dust motes floated in the air, illuminated by a single overhead light bulb that swung gently on its chain. Do you think he meant in here? Alex asked, looking around and taking in the dusty tables. Jamie shook her head. Maybe there's something else, something we need to uncover. As they began searching, Jamie's fingers brushed against a stack of old journals on a worn-out shelf. Her heart skipped a beat. Wait, what if these belonged to my dad or someone he knew? Lily rushed over, her eyes wide with anticipation. Let's look. They pulled the journals down, their spines cracked with age. One fell open, revealing yellowed pages filled with cramped handwriting. Jamie's heart raced as memories of her father flooded back, his voice filled with stories that danced around the dinner table. She took a deep breath and began to read aloud. The system fails us. They never listened. The words felt like daggers to her heart. She read on, catching snippets of her father's thoughts and experiences that revealed deep frustration and pain, expressions of someone who felt lost. This is powerful, Jamie whispered, her eyes brimming with tears. He knew so much. Suddenly, the door creaked open, sending a jolt of fear through them. Jamie's mind raced. Had someone followed them? Get down, Alex hissed, and they ducked behind a table, hearts pounding. They held their breath, praying it was just a stray breeze or a wandering book enthusiast. But as heavy footsteps echoed in the corridor, Jamie felt a chill run down her spine. Who was there? What did they want? A figure emerged, shrouded in shadows, and Jamie stifled a gasp. The mystery of the night deepened. Who's there? A gravelly voice called, cutting through the tension. As they crouched quietly, Jamie felt both fear and determination surge within her. She had to uncover the truth, not just for her, but for her, father, and all the others who had suffered in silence. With each heartbeat, she sensed the stakes rising. What they were about to discover could change everything. But would they be ready to face whatever was lurking in the darkness? The room felt like it was holding its breath, tension so palpable it almost pulsed. As the figure stepped closer, Jamie's heart raced, pounding against her ribs like a frantic bird trying to escape. She peeked over the edge of the table, squinting to make out the shadowy form. "Show yourself," the voice demanded again, deeper this time, filled with an authority that sent a shiver down Jamie's spine. Alex's grip tightened on Jamie's arm, his eyes wide with apprehension. "What do we do?" he whispered, though the question hung heavy in the air. Lily's face was pale, but her determination flared as she glanced at the door leading back into the library. "We have to find out who it is. It could be someone who knows about your dad." Jamie nodded, breath hitching as she forced herself to think through the haze of fear. This was more than just curiosity now. They were on the brink of revealing something significant, something that could illuminate the shadows of their past. With a cautious glance, they peered around the table. The figure looked older, his silhouette framed by the soft glow of the overhead light. As a faint shuffle of feet echoed, the urgency built within Jamie. "I'll go," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "We need to know." "Are you crazy?" Alex muttered, shaking his head. Jamie placed a hand on his shoulder, grounding herself. "I need to know the truth, for my dad." Drawing a slow, deep breath, she emerged from behind the table, exposure wrapping around her like a cloak. The figure turned sharply, revealing a weathered face lined with a mixture of concern and recognition. "Jamie?" the man said, his voice softer now, as if the threat had evaporated. "You know me?" she asked, heart racing. His eyes searched hers, finding something familiar. "I served with your father, Charlie. I'm Ted." Each syllable resonated within her, intertwining with the memories of her dad's stories. You knew him?" Her voice trembled, clinging to the weight of the name, the connection. Ted nodded gravely. He was an incredible man, but there are some things you don't know, things he wanted protected. "What do you mean?" Jamie felt a knot of worry tighten in her stomach. What did he go through? "Follow me," Ted said, turning toward the far wall, pushing open a hidden door covered by a dusty map. "I can't explain it all here. Just trust me." With time stretching in suspense, Jamie looked back at Lily and Alex. There was a flicker of uncertainty in their eyes, but determination outweighed it. They stepped into the shadowed corridor that Ted had revealed, a narrow passage that faded into darkness. As the light from the room dimmed behind them, Jamie felt a mixture of excitement and anxiety. What truths were hidden in the shadows? What burdens had her father carried that were now resting on her shoulders? The air felt thicker, alive with unspoken secrets. Each step deeper into the unknown was a promise that they were about to discover something monumental, but the lingering question nagged at her. "How far do we have to go?" Jamie asked, feeling the darkness embrace them. "It's not the distance that matters, but the truth you're about to uncover," Ted replied, the weight of his words thick with meaning. In that moment, Jamie understood the gravity of their journey. They were about to peel back layers of history that could alter everything she thought she knew about her father. As they moved forward, shadows danced on the walls, and Jamie took a deep breath. She could feel the pulse of fate quickening, and an unsettling mix of dread and hope merged inside her. What awaited them at the end of the corridor? Would the truth soothe her heart or tear it apart? "Just remember, some truths come with a price," Ted cautioned, the shadows flickering ominously around them. The real journey was only just beginning. The hallway stretched before Jamie like a living thing, dark and alive, whispering secrets with every step they took. The flickering light from Ted's flashlight barely lit the damp, uneven walls, but Jamie could feel the weight of history pressing in on them. Alex moved closer, his breath uneven. "What do you think he means by truth?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Jamie glanced at him, searching for reassurance that they were doing the right thing. "I don't know, but I have to find out. For my dad, for myself." Lily's hand brushed Jamie's as if to say, "I'm with you." That innocent gesture held a deeper promise. No matter what lay ahead, they would face it together. They reached a heavy wooden door at the end of the corridor. Ted hesitated, glancing back at them. "What you're about to hear could change everything. Are you sure you want to know?" His eyes echoed a deep concern, as if he carried the weight of Jamie's father's decisions in his very bones. Jamie nodded firmly. "Yes, I need to know what my dad was protecting." Each word was a silent vow. With a nod, Ted threw open the door, revealing a small, dim room filled with old furniture, boxes of documents, and photographs. Dust motes floated through the swirling light, each one seemingly holding memories of its own. A sense of space filled with ghosts overwhelmed Jamie, each item pregnant with stories. "Sit down," Ted said, gesturing toward a table covered in papers. "I'll show you." As they took their seats, Jamie's heart raced. She was on the brink of unraveling layers of her father's life, a life made opaque by years of silence. Ted spread out a collection of faded photographs and yellowed letters, each one more revealing than the last. "This," he said, picking up a letter, "is from the day after your father made a critical decision, a decision that would protect someone he cared deeply about." Jamie leaned closer, her pulse quickening. The letter's words appeared mundane at first, but bore the weight of a promise. What exactly did he choose? Her voice was small, trembling with the gravity of her question. "The choice wasn't easy," Ted replied, his tone serious. "It revolved around duty, loyalty, and ultimately, sacrifice. Your dad was part of something significant, something that shaped lives. In doing so, he jeopardized his own safety." Jamie's heart sank as she processed the reality of her father's life. Was it worth it? She could feel the tears welling up. What sacrifices had he made for her? Ted hesitated, then asked, "What do you value more, the safety that comes from the unknown, or the truth that could cut deeper than any wound?" Before she could respond, Ted flipped through more documents, revealing a name Jamie recognized from her childhood. "This person, she was connected to your father. Their past intertwines with your family's future." "Who is she?" Jamie asked, confusion mixing with urgency. Ted's eyes locked onto hers. "Before you can learn what's become of her, you must confront what your father did to protect her. Understand that truths often come at a price." A heavy silence followed. The room felt charged with tension, like a storm poised to break. Jamie's hands trembled as she reached for a photo, revealing a warm smile belonging to a woman she vaguely remembered, a woman whose identity enveloped her in mystery. Could all this truly connect back to the life she had known? What had her father done to shield them from this reality? "Time to decide," Ted said, his voice calm but laced with urgency. "Will you brave the truth or retreat to the safety of ignorance?" In that moment, Jamie realized she was at a crossroads, one that would either bring her closer to understanding her father or unravel everything she cherished. As she looked at Ted, at Alex, and at the old photographs, she knew she had to choose. Dare to uncover her father's past, or retreat back into the comfort of the facade she had known. "What if the truth is too much to bear?" she whispered, fear catching in her throat. Ted met her gaze with unwavering certainty. "Some truths will hurt, Jamie, but the ones that matter will set you free." As the weight of their decision loomed overhead, Jamie took a deep breath, ready to confront the shadows of her father's choices. What awaited could either change everything or shatter the world she thought she knew. "I'm ready," she said softly. But as the air thickened around them, a chilling question lingered in her mind. What would she uncover that could change everything? Jamie stared at the photograph of the woman whose name flickered in her mind like a distant memory. Ted's words echoed, "Some truths will hurt, but the ones that matter will set you free." She felt the enormity of the moment, the weight of her father's choices pressing down on her, as if daring her to delve deeper. "What do you mean?" she asked, squaring her shoulders. "Who is she?" "Her name was Sarah," Ted replied, eyes now softening, filled with a mix of sorrow and respect. "Your father knew her during the war. They were close, not just as friends, but in a way that changed them both forever." Jamie felt a jolt. Close? What do you mean? The possibilities tangled her thoughts. Her father had fought through more than just the chaos of war. He had fought for people, for loyalty, for love. He made promises to her, promises that became dangerous. She was entangled in something larger than any of us could imagine. Your father took it upon himself to shield your family from that knowledge, to keep you safe, but it came at a cost. Jamie felt the walls of reality begin to shift. The stories pieced together revealed shadows behind the years she had lived. Did this put him at risk? Did he protect us or keep us ignorant? Ted met her gaze, a somber understanding passing between them. It was both. He wanted to shield you from dangers he faced, dangers that could have destroyed your family. But the veil of secrecy came with its own burdens, especially for him. Jamie absorbed his words, feeling grief swell at the thought of her father carrying such a heavy load alone. Was she in danger? Did something happen to her? Something terrible, Ted replied, his voice laden with emotion. The choices made created enemies, and when your father realized the implications, he vowed to protect you all, even at the expense of his own peace. The revelation hit Jamie like a wave. Her father fought unseen battles, not just for his country, but for a life he desperately wanted to keep intact. I want to understand, she said, resolve blooming in her heart. We have to know the truth, Ted, not just for us, but for anyone else hiding from their past. Ted nodded, clearly impressed by her courage. Then we need to investigate her story, document everything, gather no's and evidence of your father's encounters. He left hints throughout his life, and it's time we uncover them together. As the enormity of the work ahead settled onto Jamie, she felt empowerment rising amidst the shadows of doubt. Together with Alex and Lily, they would not only shed light on her father's legacy, but untangle a network of support for others dealing with similar struggles. Days turned into weeks as they immersed themselves in the pursuit of the truth, documenting interviews while gathering information that soon formed a sprawling tapestry of hearts who shared a common past. Each story revealed more depth to her father's experience, even the struggles of the women behind soldiers, their losses and sacrifices, a community standing strong in silence. Through old photos and letters, they began to piece together facts of Sarah's life. With each layer that they uncovered, Jamie recognized parts of her father she had never known. The joy, the pain, the profound humanity that fueled his choices. The family started to embrace these pieces, carrying them like badges of honor, crafting monuments to the unsung heroes. During a community event they organized, as the dimming sunlight kissed the horizon, Jamie stood on the stage once more, a rush of memories illuminating her heart. The stories of bravery filled the air with a palpable hum of connection. I stand here today for my father, Charlie Carter, she spoke, her voice steady and strong. For Sarah, for every family that struggles under the weight of silence. We're gathering as a community not just to remember our past, but to scream to the world that our sacrifices matter, their stories matter. The crowd erupted with cheers, hope reverberating through the air like a melodic anthem, a beating drum that pulled their spirits closer together. In that moment, Jamie realized they were illuminating the shadows that surrounded them, breaking the chains of isolation forged by secrets. Alex and Lily stood beside her, pride illuminating their faces, powerful reminders of strength in unity. She felt a warmth envelop her, a deep sense of purpose. Together, they were dismantling the stigma her father had carried, lighting paths for those who wandered amidst similar battles. As the event concluded, familiar faces approached them with tears in their eyes and gratitude in their hearts. They shared their stories of courage, igniting discussions that celebrated and uplifted the ache of loss. The room buzzed with emotion, and Jamie knew they had forged something remarkable: rebirth. Jamie's heart swelled with pride, excitement, and sadness, but it was the sadness that whispered softly to her heart, "You did good, Charlie. Your fight lives on." Amidst the joy, an unwavering voice inside her whispered that this journey hadn't just ignited relationships. It had begun a new era of understanding and strength for everyone involved. A community determined to push against the darkness, to fight until all echoes of stories were shared and heard, until each heartache found its redemption. As night settled over the bustling scene, Jamie felt hope burst free like fireworks in her soul. They would continue to share, to uncover, and transform pain into empowerment. They would honor her father, his sacrifices, and the legacy that would live on through them all. "Let's keep it going," she whispered to Alex and Lily, determination lighting up her eyes once more. The journey was far from over. In fact, it was only just beginning. With renewed conviction, Jamie stepped into the promise of tomorrow, a tomorrow where every voice mattered and every story had its rightful place in the light. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Spread the word. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Your support is what makes a difference. Don't wait, not even one more second to share. Comment below with your feelings about the ending.